With the 4L30E being in several different vehicle applications, this transmission keeps shops busy in many areas of the world. Over time, it has revealed some interesting solenoid and internal wiring related problems, as well as ID related problems. Jim is ready to take us through these problems and how to avoid them. Jim?
The 4L30E transmission has been with us since 1990. Technicians have had a number of problems over the years because of parts confusion, sometimes because of the mislabeling of parts. One of the most common complaints from this confusion is wrong gear starts along with erratic shifts. At first glance, these solenoids look identical, but in fact they are hydraulically complete opposites. The 1, 2, 3, 4 solenoid is normally closed, and the 2, 3 solenoid is normally open, as shown in Figure 2. The only thing that prevents the technician from placing the solenoids into the wrong holes are these tabs located here on the rear of the solenoid casing, which, by the way, can be folded over very easily. This will allow the technician to place the solenoids in the wrong hole. These two tabs fit into this recessed area of the main valve body as shown in Figure 1. The complaint created by placing the solenoids into the wrong holes on the valve body is a second gear start, a downshift to first, an upshift to fourth, then a downshift to third. Not only are the solenoids easy to mislocate, but they are often confused because of mislabeling. Some part systems have labeled the 1, 2, 3, 4 solenoid as a seal. This may cause the person behind the parts counter to sell you two of the same part number, which in this case you would end up with two 2, 3 solenoids. Figures 3 through 6 show partial hydraulic schematics of what gear changes you will encounter when two normally open solenoids are used instead of one normally closed and one normally open. While we're on the 4L30E subject, let's go into a few electrical problems that are sometimes created after overhaul on 90 to 93 models. The first, diagnostic trouble codes 32, force motor solenoid circuit open, and 65, transmission oil temperature sensor circuit open. These codes are normally created when the locking tab, which is connected to the front case connector, is pried back to remove the internal wiring harness as shown in Figure 7. Most of the time, this tab breaks off because of heat, making the plastic very brittle. Many technicians will reuse this connector after pinching the terminals of the internal harness connector together to keep it from falling off. The problem arises when trying to reconnect the internal harness connector. As you can see, the pin configuration of these two objects are completely even, which means the harness connector can be inserted 5 different ways. Only one of them is correct. The locking tab is also a locating tab, which lines up with a notch on the internal harness connector as shown in Figure 8. This prevents the technician from misassembling these two connectors, but with the locating tab missing, good luck. Another common electrical problem found on 1990 to 93 models, often after overhaul, is a diagnostic trouble code 43, ground control relay circuit fault. This ground circuit connects all 3 of the solenoids on the main valve body to the C terminal of the rear case connector as shown in Figure 9. The problems arise when the technician decides to reuse an internal harness over again, which is extremely brittle from heat. The protective conduit which covers the wire harness is usually cracked in many places, which allows this splice, as shown in Figure 10, to contact the valve body or the filter, completing a ground. The transmission control unit operates this ground terminal from an internal relay which it constantly monitors. A trouble code 43 will set immediately if the TCM notices that the solenoids are already grounded by the splice contacting the valve body. The final segment for 4L30E concerns 1996 Honda Passport and diagnostic trouble code 1860 torque converter clutch solenoid circuit. This code normally sets from an insufficient ground connection for the TCC solenoid. The previous design ground wire was connected here at the base of the solenoid. The new design ground wire, shown in Figures 11 and 12, simply takes place of the old wire and is connected through a sump passage in the case to a valve body bolt here on the main valve body. This eliminates the possibility of an insulated ground for this solenoid through the gaskets on the overdrive housing and the pump. A ground kit is available only from Isuzu for this Honda Passport, as it is closer to a rodeo than any other Honda, and the part number is shown under service information.